What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Welcome back to the Respawn, where I answer your questions. Today we're going to be talking about better class roles, possible underwater maps, and why are my keybinds so weird? You guys know how it works. Leave your comments, questions, and ideas down below, and maybe you'll get picked for the next Respawn video. So first question is, what do you think, hero-wise, should be added to the game? Well, definitely more tanks and more supports. Right now we have a lot of DPS. So you look at all the characters in the offense category, plus all of the characters in the defense category. Really, they're just two different kinds of DPS, and they greatly outnumber what we have for tanks and what we have for supports. Now, if the normal lineup is going to be 2-2-2, there's a lot more DPS to pick from than there is tanks or support. So I think they need to kind of buff up the tank and the support roster just a little bit more. And that leads us into the next question. Do you think that the heroes in Overwatch need a different way of being categorized, or that some heroes are in the wrong part currently? Yes and yes. This probably could have an entire video all by itself, but I'll try to keep it simple for this one. So, I know what Blizzard was trying to do when they made the 4 different categories: offensive, defensive, tank, and support. They wanted it to be really simple so that new players, casual players, could just look at the category and kind of immediately figure out what they were supposed to do. Except the problem is, it's too simple. And because it's too simple, it's actually more confusing for the new players and the casual players. So the higher rank players and the pros and stuff don't even look at the categories, right? They completely ignore them because they look at the characters for what they can do, not what Blizzard wants them to do. So any changes that Blizzard makes to the categories or the classes of the characters are going to be specifically aimed at helping new players or the more casual players. Because, for example, someone that is experienced in the game knows that you don't use a Zarya to try to block a choke point. You're going to use a Reinhardt or a Narissa. Same thing goes for DPS. There's a really big difference between what a Pharah can do versus what a Genji can do. And also, the names of the categories are also confusing to new players, because this happened to me a long time ago when the game first came out. I was defending on Nubani, and we had, I think it was a Pharah and a McCree for our DPS, and we were on defense. And a couple of other people, like I think the tanks on our team, were absolutely adamant that our DPS needed to switch to characters that were in the defense category. Like, they wanted them, the McCree and the Pharah, to switch off to something like a Hanzo and a Torb or something like that, right? They were absolutely adamant about it because we were on defense and therefore we needed defensive characters. So it's just confusing to new players, and I think they really should break it up into more categories and also kind of give us a little bit more info on, like, this is what the character is supposed to do, this is kind of where its strengths are, all that sort of stuff. I think it would be a lot better for those casual and the new players. What is your favorite emote? Well, the emotes that I always use is the sitting emotes, because you can actually get kind of an advantage out of them by standing near a corner. You sit, and then you can just keep a constant look around. So those are the best, but if you're talking about just kind of whatever funny ones, Sombra's marionette one is pretty good, but I think Reaper's Shrug is probably gonna be my favorite. Do you think an underwater game mode could be a possibility? Yes and no. If it's kind of like a reverse fishbowl, if you ever saw Star Wars: A Phantom Menace, man, that movie is just terrible. But anyways, the Gungan city underneath the water is basically a reverse fishbowl. It's a little pocket of air. So they could have a map like that, where everybody is just kind of like in a normal environment, and right outside is all of the water, the ocean and all that sort of stuff. Think of kind of like what they did for the Horizon lunar colony, right? Except instead of going outside and there being like a low grav on the moon, it would just be water and you would kind of move slowly through that. Something like that. But if you're talking about just a regular underwater map where you have to move through water and everybody's slow, no, absolutely not. They'll never do that, because some characters like Widowmaker and Hanzo and what have you, the long-range characters, would be way, way too powerful. Characters like Reinhardt would just be absolutely useless. Next one, why are your buttons 1, 2, and 3? How do you play like that? I get asked this question quite a bit. I don't use a keyboard. I use something called a Nostromo. I'm going to put a picture up on the screen so you know what I'm talking about. They actually don't make this anymore. There are other versions, though, like the Orb Weaver, the Tartarus, and Logitech makes one as well. So you can go and try those out. But the idea is it's a chunk of a keyboard, so you still use the WASD to move around and stuff, but it has like a palm rest on it, so it's a little more comfortable. And then you have a whole bunch of buttons for your thumb. So I have all of my abilities bound to the buttons that my thumb can use. So that's why it's set like 1, 2, and 3 and stuff. I just have it reconfigured with different stuff. And there's an added benefit of this because my abilities are on my thumb. So the added benefit is that I never have to take my fingers off of the movement keys in order to use an ability. So like if you wanted to press the E button on your keyboard, you have to take your finger off of the right strafe in order to do that. I don't have to, because I just use my thumb to press the button for the ability, and that's it. And the last question, what storyline do I think this upcoming Uprising event will follow, same as last year or the new one? Well, we just discovered that they changed the name of the event. It's no longer just the Uprising, it's now called the Archives, which seems to be more all-encompassing of all the historical events that happen in the universe of Overwatch. So I think we're almost certainly going to get the old game mode that comes back. It was really fun, people really liked it, so I think they're probably going to include it in the arcade, but we're also going to get something new. My guess is on something Blackwatch related, and it's going to tell us more about Gabriel Reyes, Reaper, and kind of like how he started to distance himself from Overwatch. I made a full video on it. You can go and check out all that stuff. I'll put a link on the screen and down below. But that is going to be about it for this one, guys. Remember, if you have anything that you want to see in the next Respawn, leave your comments, questions, or ideas down below, and maybe you'll get picked. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out my Discord server. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. The links for that stuff are down below. And remember, always, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.